Now at 4, another twist to an already confusing order. The move by the White House today on freezing federal funds.
And welcome to the warmest day of the year so far, but the warmest is yet to come when we could flirt with 60 in the forecast.
And planning for the future. What bike advocates are asking the city of Indianapolis ahead of its next big storm. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
Good afternoon. Great to have you with us here at 4 o'clock on this Wednesday. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence, and we begin with developing news that we've been following all afternoon from Washington. Just hours ago, the White House rescinded its memo freezing federal grants and loans.
This is the memo that sparked widespread confusion and concern yesterday and uncertainty over a crucial financial lifeline for states, schools, and organizations that rely on trillions of dollars worth of federal aid from Washington, like which agencies would and would not be impacted.
Well, a federal judge intervened yesterday, temporarily pausing the freeze. And then today, the White House released a 2-line memo repealing the order entirely. President Trump spoke about it about an hour ago. We're actually going to have more on this story tonight on 13 News at 5.
During his remarks, President Trump also talked about where the U.S. plans to hold deported migrants. You know, they've been doing raids the last few days in cities across the country, continuing to do so. The president says he's ordering a detention center to be opened at Guantanamo Bay to hold up to 30,000 migrants. He made the announcement right before signing the Laken-Riley Act into law as his administration's first piece of legislation. He also talked to reporters about a number of issues, answered some questions, including why that memo, that order was frozen for federal aid, and then why it was basically rescinded this afternoon. So we're going to have more on all of this coming up on 13 News at 5 o'clock. You know, one of the other immigration-related orders from President Trump affects refugees who'd already been approved to come to our country.
But America's refugee resettlement program is suspended until further notice. Now, thousands are in limbo and many are in danger. Jenny Runovich is looking into the local impact today for us.
And we want to make a distinction here. This is not, these are not migrants who are here illegally. These are people from other countries seeking refuge.
That's right. Sometimes there's that broad swath of immigrants. There is a difference here. We are really talking about thousands of refugees who fled war or persecution. Many of them vetted for years with background checks, health checks, before getting the green light to travel here for safety. Well, now those flights are off. That travel suddenly canceled. Today, we talked with the folks at Exodus Refugee Immigration here in Indianapolis. They help refugees rebuild their lives in Indiana. But the president's order has upended all of that. They've had to make phone calls to more than 100 families telling them their loved one is no longer coming to the U.S. Now, that includes family members from Afghanistan, people who worked as interpreters and drivers helping American soldiers during the war, who were promised their wives and children could also find safety here, that they'd be reunited in the U.S. Well, now Exodus says those family members are stuck in Afghanistan where the Taliban's in control.
So having to call people that served with us, alongside us, helped protect us, and then being like, sorry, we're not going to be able to bring your family here for at least 4 years probably, is extremely, extremely difficult. And, you know, I've had a really hard days. I've had days when I've had to go home and cry because delivering that kind of news is difficult, and it's heartbreaking. I am brokenhearted for our clients.
So a lot of those clients are also in fear right now because of the president's actions on immigration. Today, we also talked with a former refugee and current U.S. citizen whose young sister was supposed to fly here in 2 weeks, but now she is stuck in a war zone. She's only 15 years old, so we're going to hear her family's story, his story, tonight at 5:30.
And the executive orders must be impacting those refugee organizations financially, right?
That's that's true. This actually impacts their bottom line because some of the funding has stopped from the federal government. So now organizations like Exodus are actually trying to continue their services by raising money for private donations as well. So it's kind of a big situation they're dealing with. They say, frankly, it's been a rough week and a half.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to your story, the rest of your story coming up tonight later. Thank you, Jenny. Other news now, local home builders say central Indiana still faces a housing shortage, but new numbers show we are heading in the right direction. More than 10,000 new home construction permits were filed last year. That's up 26% from the year before. And the Builders Association of Greater Indianapolis says that underscores the high demand, the sustained high demand for housing across the region. The numbers represent Indianapolis and the 8 counties surrounding it. We're going to hear from Governor Braun tonight for his first ever State of the State address. He'll be delivering it to a joint session of the General Assembly in the larger House chamber of the State House. The address will begin at 7 p.m. We're going to carry it live right here on WTHR Channel 13. You can also catch it online through WTHR Plus. A quick programming note, we're going to move Wheel of Fortune over to MeTV tonight to make room for the State of the State address.
Okay, when we look outside, we are just not getting tired of all of the sun. Sean here to kind of soften up some of the temperatures we're seeing for us with all the sun.
I mean, here we go again. 5 straight days of sunshine, and today is our new warmest day of the year.
Are we going to just keep going now?
Yeah, we're gonna keep going, and eventually it's going to take us close to 60 degrees. Hello.
That is shorts weather.
Yeah. 47 so far, the high today, average of 37, nowhere near the record, 66 set back on 2002 here, but certainly feels pleasant, looks pleasant too. Look at all the sunshine here. Another severe clear day here in Indy, and you can see the ice that's retreating here on Morse Lake, and that is a trend that will continue. We don't have below freezing lows, only like one day over the next 7 days in terms of below freezing temperatures here. Mid 40s right now, and even a few 50s close to it. Got you at 50 in Bedford, 48 Terre Haute, Lafayette. So above average for us here as we roll through here this evening. West wind at about 15 miles per hour. Humidity at 47%. So if you're heading to the field house, enjoy it. Bobblehead night for the Pacers, really cool and featuring Tyrese Halliburton. If you're going to the game, it is a perfect evening and not too cold on the way home here, and perfect for a space station flyover. 4-minute flyover, 7:44, 7:48. Rain on the way for tomorrow. We're timing it out, let you know how much to expect all ahead in the forecast.
All right, Sean, thanks. We'll see you in a few. More than 3 weeks after a major snowstorm hit Indianapolis, big piles of snow and ice are still covering or obstructing some bike lanes and sidewalks in a lot of places around Indy.
Yeah, it's still kind of frustrating. Now bike advocates are calling for the city's recently scrutinized snow removal plan to also include bike lanes as a priority. Today, Rich and I found plenty of obstacles still slowing, melting away.
When snowplows clear the streets for drivers, they often push the snow into bike lanes. And some of that snow is still piled up and blocking bike riders on Pennsylvania Street downtown, on New York Street on the Near East Side, and many other places. Jacob Morales travels on his bike all over the city. That's been a struggle the past few weeks.
People walking and cycling still need to use the road and use our infrastructure. And so if we're building out these protected bike lanes, we need to be able to maintain them so that we can actually use them when snow falls.
Bike Indianapolis is calling on the city to reimagine its snow removal plan to incorporate the needs of cyclists and pedestrians.
Whenever the snowplows come out, we need some percentage of that labor to go to clearing bike lanes.
Most of this stretch of bike lane along Michigan Street headed into downtown is clear until you get to one of these areas that stays in the shade, which has obviously never been plowed more than 3 weeks after the major snowstorm.
So when there's snow and ice in the bike lane, I have to take the lane. I have to ride with vehicles, even though I want to be separated from them. And so it creates dangerous situations like what happened a few weeks ago to me.
Morales says this car sideswiped his handlebars near 10th and Rural and refused to stop. He reported the license plate to IMPD. Indianapolis Vision Zero is a city initiative to eliminate all pedestrian and cyclist deaths by 2035. The chair issued a statement that begins, "I support the call for a more comprehensive snow removal plan that includes trails and bike lanes. People walk and bike year-round, and unsafe conditions create serious risk, like snow mounds that make bike lanes unusable." In Indianapolis, Rich Knight, 13 News.
Man, glad that young man is okay.
Yeah, that is a scary situation.
Bike Indianapolis is also calling for the city to enforce laws that require property owners to clear the sidewalks.
Well, we've got more of 13 News at 4 ahead. Today, the Federal Reserve opted not to cut interest rates, and we'll tell you what that means for your money.
And Starbucks is apparently slashing some options. Your favorite item on that menu could soon disappear.
But before we head to break, we have a traffic update for you. This is a look at I-65 southbound near 865. This is in Boone County. There is a crash here. We're getting reports that the crash involved a motorcycle. Something we'll continue to keep eyes on. Stay with 13 News at 4. We'll be right back.